Hello there, Ray here. Warden farms are so much more useful than you think. Yes, it's true that I'm designing an automatic farm for every single item in the game of Minecraft. And I've currently designed a farm for over 1,000 different items. So if you know of anybody that could use a farm, let them know of this document. So what makes the Warden farm so special? The wardens themselves can be used inside of a mega fight pit. You can drop these guys in and you can see who can last the longest among them. Now you can also keep wardens as pets as long as you keep them constantly busy so they don't dig into the ground. Or make sure to give them a name tag. This will also prevent them from despawning. Or they will eventually dig into the ground and vanish forever. And those of you that are loyal fans that watch my live streams will know that when Wardens came out, I showed it as possible to make a peaceful mob switch, just because they have persistence required set to 0. This means they take up the hostile mob cap as long as they're kept occupied by listening to some noise, with later changes made in the snapshot, so they won't even despawn when far away, making a total of 5 different mobs that can all be used in order to make a mob switch, all discovered by me. Every warden that dies will drop a catalyst blocks, and these things not only look really cool with their cool bone making noise when you place them down and odd animated textures, but they can also be mined up for 20 XPs each. In 1.19.0 and any above version, they produce 5 XPs each. Great for repairing any of your gear that has mending, as the catalyst blocks are from 5 to 20 times better than holding normal sculk blocks inside of your ender chest. Catalysts are also used in order to get more sculk blocks. Like inside my sculk farm, this is done just by killing any mob that would drop XPs near it, and it'll convert to natural blocks. You can check out this video to see how I easily made it so you can automate this process to not only get sculk blocks, but veins, shriekers, and sensors, as well as XPs. So to get my infinitely automatic warden farm to work, I use tons of crazy tricks and glitches. And leave a like and subscribe as it really helps out. In order to build a warden farm, you need to have a naturally generated shrieker from a deep dark biome. So the first thing you need to do is find a deep dark biome. These are often in the center of the continent, usually underneath of a big mountain. So if we just check underneath of this one, we can see that there is actually a deep dark way down here with these sculk blocks. Survival, you would have to dig your way down or find a cave system to take you all the way down here. Then you just want to make your way along this until you find yourself a shrieker. These are things that actually summon the warden. It has to be a naturally generated shrieker, not one that spawned in from a catalyst or you placed yourself. At this point, you do need to be kind of careful because after 4 shrieks, the shrieker will actually spawn a warden near you. Now you can avoid activating the shriekers by crouching. This is because the shrieker themselves actually get informed about you, the player, through vibrations that are actually first sent out to the sensors. So notice that the sensor will read my vibrations as I walk. And then they get ricocheted and sent over to the shrieker and then try to summon in the warden. So make sure you always are crouching and don't step on either the sensors or the shrieker, because these will also send out vibrations and cause the warden to spawn in. So to make the area a bit safer, what we're going to do is first remove the sensors so that there's no way for them to activate the shriekers. We can do this by putting down wool, which is like kind of an insulation in between the sensors and the shriekers. Once isolated, you can make noises that the sensors can hear, but they can't actually send it to the shriekers. So now you're able to actually destroy these or pick them up using silk touch. But make sure you take into account the angle, as just placing like a block here isn't enough to stop the noises from reaching that shrieker, and we need to place one in a bit lower. So now we should be safe to remove this one here. So to build my simple warden farm, we just need to find a shrieker that is above a Y level -35. There's actually quite a bit of this because not only does the deep dark generate below Y level 0, but it can actually seep up into the positive Y levels. You can see that down here, most of the deep dark is in the deep slate stuff, but you can also see there is quite a bit of the deep dark up in the stone, meaning that it is above Y level 0. So after using the wool to isolate the different sensors and remove them, you should be safe to be able to walk around without crouching. Now it is possible that there is sensors that are through a wall in a different cave, so you can actually activate those without even seeing them, and you could be summoning wardens completely accidental, like this little shrieker and sensors that are over here. The sensors themselves, after hearing vibrations, can then send signals up to 8 blocks away to find a nearby shrieker. So if you do have some extra shriekers, you can mine those up to collect them with silk touch, or you can just break them. And when you do so, they don't activate the other nearby shriekers. It's also safe to go ahead and remove any catalysts. That's because these catalysts could accidentally produce sensors or shriekers if you kill something nearby. So now that we are ready to actually build the farm, we're going to go in and place a block just above the shrieker here so we don't accidentally step on it. Now we're going to go up a total of 5 blocks above the shrieker and off to the side. So from right here, I'm going to go ahead and just mine some blocks up above me. And we're going to count up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So right where you stacked up, that's going to be the center where the warden's going to fall down. And now we're going to go out a total of 4 blocks in each of the 4 cardinal directions. This is going to turn out to be the spawning platform where the warden's going to spawn in on. Now we want to come in and remove the blocks between these tunnels that we made so that it ends up being a 9x9 hole. You can just dig out 1 quadrant of this, but there's a chance the warden will fail a spawn cycle. By clearing out the entire 9x9 area, there's a 99.9999 chance that the warden will succeed. Now that you have this area cleared out, we need to make it big enough so the warden will actually spawn in. For that to happen, we need to make it 3 high, just like the warden. So now just clear out this upper layer in the same shape as the bottom part. Now the warden will spawn in this area here. We need to wash a warden down this hole here, but we can't put water directly onto the floor because that will stop it from spawning. So what we're going to do is we're going to place in the floor with some blocks so that it will hold the water up so that the warden can still spawn in and it seems like there is nothing for it to collide with. You can use pressure plates here. It just needs something that can't collide with the warden's hitbox. Something like wooden pressure plates or stone pressure plates are pretty much the cheapest option for this. Now we can come in and place the water just over top of the pressure plates in each of the corners. This way it's high enough up so that the warden doesn't notice it and it can still move the warden to the center. Now we'll go ahead and remove these blocks that we put in and you can see that this all lines up perfectly right beside the shrieker. So from this hole where the warden's going to fall down and right beside the shrieker, we're going to dig down a total of 29 blocks. Now this is really dangerous digging downwards, so make sure you have a bucket of water, or you can dig a 2x2 hole and fill in the side once you're done. So once you mine down the 29 blocks, then we're going to come over here and remove some stone we can place in our chest. This is where you're going to collect the loot from the wardens, which is the catalyst. Place in a double chest like so. Then we're going to place a hopper just alongside pointing into that. If you want to at this time, you can also make a ladder that can come down so you can actually gather these materials. This hole here is where the warden's going to fall into. Now to kill the warden, you have a couple different options. The fastest is using a combination of entity cramming with wither roses. If you just want to use wither roses, you can, or if you just want to use entity cramming, you also can. To do entity cramming, you want to have the rail face this direction and then come in with your minecarts. You have to put in at least 24 minecarts just by clicking on the rail itself. Even if there's a minecart there, just click on the bottom part and count them as you add them in. And once you get 24 in, we'll place a slab in here just so they don't go flying out. And then we can remove that rail right there. Now the minecarts are right in there. So anything that falls in will take tons of entity cramming from all the minecarts. Now, if you also want to place in the wither rose, we're just going to have to come up over here and click on the side of this block, and that will place it onto the soul sand underneath, and then we can just close this off. If you like to watch the wardens die, you can also replace this in with some glass. Now we just make our way back up to the top where we have our shrieker. So one of the last things we have to do before running this farm is just make sure the warden actually spawns inside our farm and not anywhere else around it. Because the warden needs a nice solid top cube in order to spawn in, all we have to do is add a little bit of a collision above one of these nice blocks, and all of a sudden the warden can't spawn. So using something like slabs or like carpets will do the trick. Now the warden can spawn a 11 by 13 by 11 cubed area around the shrieker. We just need to go out 5 blocks in each of the cardinal directions, making sure that we have some sort of collision on the ground. The warden can't spawn inside of too high areas, so we don't have to worry about those. Now the way the warden spawns in is that it tries to choose the topmost block of the area that it wants to spawn in. So since we have a spawning spot up here, technically you don't have to place in these slabs and carpets within 4 blocks of your drop chute, but just to be careful, it doesn't hurt to come in and have these placed in. But either way, you will need to have the 5th block away from the hole spawn proof. That's because the farm itself doesn't actually let the warden spawn over here, which would then cause the spawns to occur, placing him right here. So after you got it all slabbed, there might be some spawning places through the walls, so it doesn't hurt to kind of take a poke through different sides that are out 5 blocks away to see if there's anything else that the warden might spawn in, and if so, just come in and place in some slabs or carpets. Now next up, we just need to close off this hole because the warden will be falling down it, and we wouldn't want it to accidentally fall off to the side where we will be walking about. So with this glass here, we can easily watch the warden fall down while being safe. Now we are ready to go ahead and give the farm a go. We can go ahead and remove this block above the shrieker as well as this one. Now if we stand on this, it will shriek, trying to summon in a warden. If we did it correctly, the warden shouldn't be able to spawn anywhere around us down here, but instead will spawn up inside of our farm up above. So after 4 shrieks, the warden will get spawned in, and it spawns up in the farm just above us. You can hear it sniffing about, but we're all good here. It just gets dropped straight down into this hole, and it starts dying. And then the shrieker immediately shrieks again, and a new warden spawned in, making the farm extremely fast. And with the wardens falling down this hole, they're greater than 16 blocks, so they can't actually shoot their range attacks at the player up here. So at this point, the farm is working, the wardens are spawning, they're dying, and you're getting a ton of catalyst down below. Before you AFK for too long, you do want to come in and just kind of protect yourself so that mobs in the area don't come over here and try to kill you. So block yourself off from falling off that direction. Also place some blocks around you. Be sure that when you add these extra blocks that the warden can't spawn on them. Once safe, you can go ahead and start AFKing this. So besides having to be here to actually run the farm, I do have an option where you can run this farm 24/7 as long as it's inside of loaded chunks. This is done by having an item that comes from the player constantly fall onto the shrieker. Because it considers that coming from the player, it will shriek and get mad and try to summon in the warden, even if the player isn't actually here. So what we'll do is we're going to have a piston that is over here on the side. This is going to move the object up and down, which will keep dropping it onto the shrieker, keep making it mad. We're then going to have some repeaters just to add some delay that are going to go into this piston. Those are going to be powered by some redstone back here, which is going to come from an observer. And the observer is going to put it into this block and down this redstone line. And what the observer is going to be reading is whatever touches this string. So every time the warden comes through and touches the string, it's going to activate the system. Alternatively, you can just hook a redstone clock up to the piston, so it will constantly activate the arrow, and that way you don't ever have to worry about failure occurring, because if it does fail, it'll just keep trying it over and over again. And you can turn the clock off by flicking this lever here. So now all we have to do is have an object that's going to actually fall onto the shrieker to constantly activate it. I use the arrow because the arrow is considered coming from the player, and it can also be reset with the piston. You want to make sure the arrow is shot onto the actual shrieker, but hangs over a little bit. You do have to kind of shoot it from a little distance away. That way the player doesn't pick it up once again. You can see this arrow is pretty good. Now if we activate this redstone, we can watch the piston go up and back down. You can see the arrow touches the shrieker and it activates. Now we'll watch as the warden goes through, it will touch that little tripwire there, and it will activate the system without us even being there. So here comes the warden, and when it touches it, it'll lift it up and drop it again, and this will activate it all over again. Now lastly, you want to come in and make sure you block off everything so wardens aren't spawning in any of the places that you changed. Once set up like this thing will now run 24/7 as long as this chunk is loaded. So if you use my nether portal chunk loaders, you can go ahead and place that in this chunk here and constantly have it being loaded, meaning you can constantly get wardens to spawn in. Or if you just happen to have a deep dark biome inside of your spawn chunks. This farm produces 200 wardens per hour, or equivalent to 200 catalysts, which is 4,000 XPs when broken down, all without you having to do any work. And you can have multiple warden farms going at once as long as it's not the same player's arrow. As you can see, these two spawned at the exact same time. Now check out this playlist about other simple farms, including for 1.19. Or this playlist where I'm trying to design an automatic farm for every single item in the game of Minecraft. Don't forget guys, I do live stream all my builds on Twitch, with the videos archived over there. You can catch me every Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern. Thank you so much guys for leaving a like and subscribing, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye!